Hi there VC, Steve Whitty here, time for another video, and it's going to be another recent find video for July. The second one was July was quite a fruitful month, so I'm happy to show what I managed to acquire during the month. Hope that you like what I show you. So without further ado, let's get straight on. And first up, it's Deep Purple's House of the Blue Lights. This was released in 1987, co-produced by Roger Glover and the band. As an album, it sort of misses the mark a little bit. Now, reading up on the album, Ian Gillan sort of admit that the band were trying to make an album based on what was going on, the latest trends, rather than making an album for themselves. Now, this would cause friction within the band, and it would lead eventually to Ritchie Blackmore insisting that their band sacked Ian Gillan, and which they did, and brought in Joe Lynn Turner for the next album. Now, we all know that Joe Lynn Turner lasted the one album, and reluctantly Ritchie Blackmore had to accept Ian Gillan back in the band. And it led eventually to Ritchie Blackmore deciding he'd had enough and left the band himself. Just after Gillan was sacked, the band released this double live album called Nobody Is Perfect. This is not a bad album. Made in Japan, it's not. It's a good album. A lot of interplay, a lot of good versions. Particularly, it was nice to hear some of the versions of Perfect Strangers and the Perfect Strangers album. The final track is a curio. They re-recorded Hush, which they released as a single, this time featuring Ian Gillan on vocals. This was before they sacked Gillan. It's a very good live album. I'm pleased to come across this, and yeah, happy to have it in the collection. It's well worth seeking out. One of the precursors of punk, as we know it, was this album, Dictators. It's Go Girl Crazy, released in 1975. Dictators, here you got Handsome Dick Manitoba, then you got the rest of the band on the back. As I said, it's sort of a precursor of punk. Ross the Boss, who ended up in Manowar of all bands, plays guitar on this. The album's good, though I could do without the version of I Got You Babe, which is on the second track on side one. It's just really good, fun, back to basic music, which I do like now and again listening to. So yeah, happy with that. Mentioning Deep Purple and the like, this is Elf, and this is Trying to Burn the Sun. This would be the final album they made before Ritchie Blackmore decided to form Rainbow, where he basically took Elf apart from the guitarist Steve Edwards to record the first Rainbow album. I'm trying to think who recorded this. Again, it's another Roger Glover production. This would have been originally out on Purple Records. This reissues on Safari, and it's totally different than what I would expect. It's maybe because I've heard this after I've heard Rainbow. This is more sort of good times rock and roll, and it's not a bad record all in all. I can see why Blackmore would be attracted to Ronnie Dio for a vocalist. He had the look, and he had the voice as well. And I think he was looking to do something, go back to what Purple was. He didn't like, Blackmore didn't like the direction of Stormbringer. And yeah, they went off and recorded this album. This is an upgrade. I'm happy to have this. This is like minty mint upgrade. You know, the cover's not hardly been played. Now, Emerson Lake Palmer Works Volume 1, released 1977. It would yield their biggest single, Fanfare for the Common Man, which would reach number 2 in the charts. This is a bit of a mixed album. Basically, they had recorded 2 tracks, the aforementioned Fanfare for the Common Man and Pirates as a band. Then each member of the band had its own side. Keith Emerson had the piano concerto, which he really wanted to get recorded and put out. In Greg Lake's book biography, which I read a few years ago, he thought the band had run its course. They hadn't released anything since 1974 since Welcome Back My Friends to the Show That Never Ends, and the last album was Brain Salad Surgery. And he thought the band had run its course and was quite happy to leave it there. But he got persuaded by Emerson that we needed to do this album in order to put this piano concerto out. Carl Palmer and Greg Lake had each recorded their own sides. And then that's when the fun and games began. They lost a lot of money on this tour. Carl Palmer decided that his drum kit needed to be made out of stainless steel. Great, great aesthetic, but the problem with stainless steel is it weighs a ton, given the size of Carl Palmer's drum kit. Also, they wanted to tour with a full orchestra. And the problem they ran into was there's not many venues had stages that could hold that weight. So some gigs some of the tour they could only play as the band, and some of the tour could do with the orchestra. I mean, the orchestra were up for it; they wanted to do it, but it cost Emerson, Lake and Palmer a heck of a lot of money, and I think it did their career no good at all. A sort of classic modern album that I've been meaning to get on vinyl is Flaming Lips, Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. Loved this album at the time it came out in 2002. It's probably the one I stick to. I need to get some more Flaming Lips on vinyl, to be honest. Had the singles, Do You Realise, Flight Test, Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, Part 1. It was all over the radio. Six Music had just launched in 2002 when this came out. Was it? No, it was before that. I think. Yeah, but it was all over Six Music at that time. I was lucky to see the band at Bearded Theory in 2022. Played a lot of this. It's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful piece of classic alternative rock. A comp that I picked up is this Get Up and Get Down, released on the Philips label. And it's basically a compilation of funk soul compilation. So you've got on here, Joe Text, Aaron Neville, Cissy Houston doing her version of Midnight Train to Georgia. You've also got Roy C, Etta James is on here. The Ohio Players and the Inkling is on there. Little Anthony and the Imperials. I've been listening to a lot of soul funk recently, even disco, and this sort of backs up. It's nice to discover something like this because a lot of this stuff I wouldn't get to hear. I probably wouldn't even find it on streaming to enjoy. So yeah, great album. Another funk soul compilation I found, released on the Ember label, A Drop of the Hard Stuff. Sort of feels the same thing. Ember was, I think, an Irish label, and they had some really good stuff, issued some good stuff. So on here, you've got The Intruders, Checkmate, Bobby Bland, Joe Text again, King Curtis is on here, the Pat Keys, some really good songs on here. Really happy to have that in the collection. Something totally different. This is Grand Funk Railway, Caught in the Act. Double live album. It was their second live album. Grand Funk's live is an absolute beast of a live album. Really, it's unfiltered and sort of raw. This isn't. It's a still good double live album, but it isn't. This was recorded and I think released in '75, and I think this is when sort of the band was starting to run to their close. It's got a lot of the hits on there. I mean, We're an American Band, I think, was the #1 hit single for them in the States. You've got their version of The Locomotions on there. Some Kind of Wonderful. Do Gimme Shelter as well. It's looking at it's not a bad live album, but it's not up there with Grand Funk Live. And the final album I'm going to show you in this batch is Dobie Gray's Drift Away. I love this song. Maybe a song that I'd probably have played at my funeral. I don't know. It's R&B. It's a little bit of southern rock in there, soul. Absolutely wonderful. The opening song is just it's almost like in its own way a bit of an anthem, and I love it. I love that song to death. It's probably up there in some of my favourite tunes of all time. There's Mr. Gray himself on the back there. It's an American copy, released through MCA, but it was its own label on there. Absolutely wonderful record. So happy to have this in the collection. So there you go, VC. I hope you liked what I showed. If you do, thumbs up, thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment. I'll manage to try and get back to you. I love the interaction. And so until the next one, wherever you get up to, make sure you enjoy yourself. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.